Okay, live images that are coming in from the forecourt of the Rashtrapati Bhavan, and I want to go
the arrival of the Prime Minister
on those images. That's the Prime Minister's cavalcade that is just coming in. This is the Prime Minister's Range Rover, just the Indian flag. So, you know, it's just the Prime Minister of India in this vehicle coming to the forecourt of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. The External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, there to receive the Prime Minister. This is the External Affairs Minister, as you see in these images. There's also the commanding officer of the President's bodyguard, COPBG. The military secretary of the President will come with President Draupadi Murmu. She will just come in a moment from now. It's timed to the last second. 10:57 was the time for the Prime Minister's arrival. The Prime Minister comes, then the trumpets will sound the arrival of the President of India, and then the President of Russian Federation, the chief guest in this function. So the Prime Minister has been received by the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar.
In fact, just a few minutes ago, I would say an hour ago, Prime Minister Modi has put out a tweet in Russian in which he's speaking about, having gifted that copy of Bhagavad Gita in Russian to President Putin, and how the teachings of Bhagavad Gita give inspiration to millions across the world. And his message to President Putin has been constantly going in Russian, in which he's speaking about his friend, where he says that he welcomed President Putin at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, which is the official residence of the Prime Minister of India, that is Prime Minister Modi. And every time he speaks about him, he's speaking about long-term relationships, a relationship which has stood the test of time, a relationship which is built on multiple pillars of cooperation, of understanding, of future, a relationship which is about deliveries. It's about ensuring that this is special strategic partnership, a partnership which has been the backbone, even as trade and connectivity has gained prominence between the two nations. So Gaurav, in a multipolar world, here is the tested friend of India, which has been also speaking about another aspect. Let's bring that in, about the permanent UNSC seat for India.
Russia has recommended India for a UNSC seat. That image is so telling. That image of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita being presented by the Prime Minister. And that second image of the President, that's the Vice President, I think, whose vehicle is now coming in. One by one, dignitaries will come in. That's the Vice President's Mercedes that has brought the Vice President. CP Radhakrishnan has come in. In a moment from now, the President of India would be in, and then the President of the Russian Federation. These are Russian journalists and Russian ministers. 100-member Russian delegation, business delegation is also here, because that big effort is to take business-to-business ties to the next level, and also ensure that you're not in violation of any international laws. That's President Draupadi Murmu, who has arrived. President Draupadi Murmu has also arrived in the forecourt of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi received her, and now, in seconds from now, so 11 o'clock was the time, seconds from now, you will have the Russian President Vladimir Putin also pulling in for the Tri-Services Guard of Honor.
Remember, Russia has become India's top crude supplier post-2022, and both sides are working on non-USD payment mechanisms using national currencies or third country channels to protect trade from the European Union. Sanctions and the US bilateral trade has already jumped to several tens of billions of dollars, but is skewed heavily in Russia's favor. Both sides have set a target for 2030 of $100 billion of trade. With this visit, certainly the focus is on boosting Indian exports to narrowing that deficit. And Moscow's Rosatom has been cleared to sign a new MOU on civil nuclear cooperation. Let's speak about that now, Gaurav, with the discussions around more units at Kudakulam and collaboration on small modular reactors and nuclear technologies. The summit which will be taking place at Bharat Mandapam also, will be focusing on fast-tracking international north-south transport corridor and maritime route to cut logistic costs.
So connectivity is key. What is also very significant, apart from connectivity being key, is the small modular reactors or SMR. And in that interview to India Today's Geeta Mohan and Anjana Om Kashyap, President Putin spoke of Russia's success with the SMRs, and he explained why these small modular reactors are very, very important. They've worked very well for Russia. They can be deployed in far-flung areas. They have been extensively used in far-flung areas to generate energy, electricity for Russia, and they would do the same for India. And that is something that India is looking forward to. Shivani Sharma, my colleague with us from the Rashtrapati Bhavan, and Pranay Upadhyay is at Hyderabad House, where the delegation level talks will happen 11:50 onwards. So first the one-on-one and then delegation level talks as we wait for the Russian president to arrive. Pranay, before I come to you, Shivani, quickly, minutes from now, 11:05 is the official time for the Russian president to arrive.
To see the glimpse of the cockade of Russian President Vladimir Putin as the Rashtrapati Bhavan is all set for the grand ceremonial reception for him. Prime Minister is already there. We've seen how the dignitaries are waiting there with the red carpets already rolled out and the Tri-Services Guard of Honor to be offered and inspected by President Putin, and 21 gun salute that will also take place. So here, this is the route that is set for him. He's just going to arrive here any moment from now. The time was 11, and it is being seen that the security layer, the multi-layer security is there at place outside the Rashtrapati Bhavan and the whole central Delhi area. Also the ITC Maurya, where he is stopping and staying. Now we are waiting for his carcade. This is a high security arrangement for President Putin, of course, because he is here in the national capital. And any moment from now, we will be seeing those cars, those vehicles that will be here, that will be entering the Rashtrapati Bhavan. I can hear some whistle sounds. That means alerts have been put at place. The protocols are there. We are trying to see whether these cars have already reached here towards the Rashtrapati Bhavan's forecourt, where the Guard of Honor will be inspected by President Putin, and 21 gun salute in the honor of the dignitary today. So this is the moment of a very grand and a special arrangement here that also marks the formal start of the engagements between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Putin when he is in India, and another 6 events that have been lined up for the day, including the bilaterals that are going to take place at Hyderabad House, and then the statements that are expected from Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also President Putin after he's going, and then he will be certainly welcomed again at Rashtrapati Bhavan for the formal dinner along with the delegation he's coming here with. But we are waiting for his carcade to arrive here. He will be passing through this particular route that is adorned with the flags of India and Russian Federation as he is here on this very special visit after 4 years.